All right. Hi.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning. Episode 1.
Woo-woo.
All right. This is To All the Men I've Tolerated Before with your host, Natalie Katona.
And Dina Alkatib.
All right. And basically, we are here as two women who have had a varied and yet similar set of relationships with men, the opposite sex. And we chose the word tolerated because I personally have felt like I've never been in love, but I have found myself in relationships with men where I have either enjoyed their company or tolerated their company. Do you feel like that's pretty accurate?
That's true, yeah. I'd say that's pretty accurate.
Yeah. And what we'll be doing each week is we will be writing a thank you card to a certain set of men that have been with us on this journey called life, and we'll reflect on what they've taught us. And then hopefully by the end of the episode, we've reflected and refocused enough that we will have some positive manifestations for each other, which we always do it for each other, but also for these men who have affected us in either a positive or negative fashion.
That's right. Hopefully we can get some positives out of these stories.
We're all about the good vibes. We're all about the good vibes.
Yeah, good vibes here.
We're in a new moon phase. It's time for new.
Here for it.
It's time for new beginnings. It's time for new outlooks, and it's going to be great.
I agree.
My glasses are completely fogging up because I'm hot, because I just slurped down my coffee to be ready.
What a mood, though, honestly.
It's a good look.
It is a good look. Listen, it's Sunday. No one's requiring that we look good for this.
It's the day after Halloween.
Yeah, that's no requirements for the day after Halloween.
No, and it was quarantine Halloween, so you either went hard or you were just sad.
I feel like I was in that sad group, so, but that's fine. We did something fun though.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, so this week's topic, we're going to delve into our first crushes. Those first men / boys, because I'm sure we were young when we had our first crushes, who just got our brains fired up. So, do you want me to start, or are you ready to start?
Yeah, you can go first.
Okay. So my first crush is, I think, what I would call one of my false dramatic memories, because we used to have this picture from a school trip, and I only went to the school for like 1 year, and it was my second grade year, and me and this boy are in almost matching windbreakers, and we're sitting on like a ferry in Chicago, because it was the planes, trains, and automobiles field trip unit of study.
Oh.
So like, and my mom chaperoned this field trip. So like, we took the train and we took a bus tour of Chicago, and then we took a tour of like O'Hare Airport or something. And then we ended up on a ferry on the river. So me and this like boy are like huddled together, and like, I know. And we have like these little windbreakers, and my mom snapped a picture, and like my dumb romantic brain is like, this is the setting of a perfect Hallmark movie where like we find one another again over our love of windbreakers. And we both...
You know what? That's so cute, first of all, and I'm not surprised at all that this is how your brain functions with your first crush, because mine's the complete opposite, so this is exciting.
Yeah, and like, we both have the copy of the same picture, which I don't even have the picture. It's like in my dad's basement or something amongst all of these other pictures. But like, and we like start dating, like we meet on the internet. And then we find out that we both have this picture.
Oh my god.
So yes.
This is like a movie.
Right, because that's what my brain does. My brain takes like normal situations and goes, but what if we made it an Oscar award-winning picture?
It's all, your whole life's a movie.
My whole life is a movie. And what ended up happening is like then my brain got wired to just have crushes on all of my guy friends. Like as soon as we had like that little connection of like we're buddies, I'd be like, we're in love.
Dang, you went full 0 to 70 with all your guy friends. Dang.
Or like eventually in middle school, it was just like the nearest guy to me.
Oh my god.
Because in middle school, it was this boy who just sat behind me in English class. I'm like, ooh, he can read and play football. My heart. My heart.
Oh my god.
And it's so funny when you have a crush because you like idolize everything that they do. Reflecting back on it, the only reason I talked to the guy who sat behind me is because his buddy sat next to me and he was the funny one, always engaging me in conversations and like joking with me and getting sarcastic with me. And I'm just like all moony eyed over his like redheaded best friend. And I'm like, but what does he have to say? Meanwhile, his buddy is the better catch because he has things like a personality and a sense of humor. And I'm like, but what about your like strong and silent type friend right here behind me? like I hear you, but could your friend be talking to me?
I just imagine you intensely staring at this poor kid who's like just nothing in his brain like in that moment, but you're just like staring at him wantingly.
And his sister, like my best friend from high school and I have always talked about like the dumbest reasons we would fall in love with someone. I thought we were destined to be because his younger sister was in my sister's grade and her name was also Natalie. So I was like, we have so much in common. My best friend in high school, her crush throughout middle school and high school, it was because they shared the same birthday. And she's like, we're meant to be.
Oh my god. You know, that is so hilarious. You just like connect whatever coincidence. It's a sign from God or life or the universe that you're meant to be together.
And then you have to understand that in middle school, I was a mess. Like, my aunt permed my hair in my grandmother's kitchen. So I have like Lion King Broadway level perm. And I've got like thick glasses. It's like the late 90s, early aughts. And like fashion isn't a thing for middle schoolers. And like everything's so dramatic, and I'm that typical like doesn't know what to do with her body person, like crying every night because like he still didn't take me to the dance. No one was taking anyone to dances.
Oh my god.
But I'm like, why won't he notice me? His friend thinks
just
I'm
tears.
Right, just tears. Just writing his name over and over again in my journal.
Oh my god. You've always been extra. This is what I'm learning from this.
Yeah. Yes.
You've always been this way.
Wait, did you think I just like woke up one day and was like, I'll just be really dramatic from here on out?
Kind of. Like, you know, because or at least for me, my personality, I feel like has changed. Like, I've evolved over that time, but it just like you came out of the womb Natalie Katona, like ready to just wreck the world. Love that. I feel like I didn't come out like that. I came out like, why am I here? What am I doing?
I didn't ask to be here.
You're right. What is this?
Well, the thing of it is like when I was younger, I just internalized it, and my brain was so extra, and it would just like explode into spurts that no one saw coming. But then I hit like college, and I'm like, no, I'm just going to vocalize all of my thoughts and heart's desires. And then people were still like, we don't know what to do with that. We don't know. Silence.
Oh my God.
Like in high school, it was like literally my closest guy friends. Like I would just like be that awful like gal pal friend who would be just like, and then one day he'll wake up and he'll realize that we've been friends for years and that I'm his soulmate. And like I would just like cry, sing with emotion that Colby Collette song Realize. I would be like, if you just realize what I just realized, that we are perfect for each other, and just like cry and be like, why?
Oh my God.
Why are you dating her when I've realized and you need to realize? That was my anthem.
Okay, wait, but did it happen? Did you guys like,
so
did you ever get with these
my
guys?
my first best friend crush dated my best friend at like freshman, sophomore year of high school. Not the best friend that I'm like currently best friends with from high school, but like a girl that like I friend dumped in college. So like that was a whole dramatic thing, right? Because they had to have like an intervention with me to be like, so we've decided to date. And I had to like really hold my shit together and be like, that's wonderful. I love when friends find love. And they're just like, and then that was around the time that like Rent became very important to my life. And I would just play Take Me or Leave Me on a loop.
Oh my God.
Because then I got it in my head. I'm like, I'm just too much for the men that I have crushes on, and they've decided to leave me because they can't take me. And I would just, it was my MySpace song. Remember when MySpace was a thing?
Oh, I remember. I do remember. Wow, I'm picturing all this.
Yes, which was, I think it's a bold move for like to be in the early 2000s, because I graduated high school in 2007, to have Take Me or Leave Me as your MySpace song with how homophobic the early knots were, like how I didn't get cyberbullied.
You dodged a bullet there.
I dodged it. And then that friend who was dating my best guy friend who I was in love with eventually dated a guy who was older than us. And then through her, he and I became really good friends. And then he would dump her and date these other girls. And I'd be like, but no, what about, I've been here the entire time. And we would have,
Dang.
well, and we're going to have to have like an entire episode on him, because I would describe what we have as like a low simmer, where you're just waiting for it to happen. And like, but it didn't happen until after I graduated college.
So it did eventually happen?
Oh yeah, it happened. We're going to have an entire episode like on the slow burn, because
love that.
Yeah, it eventually happened, but it didn't happen when like any of the times that I thought it would happen. And we had like an explosive friendship where we were always like really high or really low.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, this sounds like fire. Now this sounds like a movie. Like it finally happens and it's like,
yeah,
like explosion.
I think he was my first hit of like adrenaline addiction, where it's just like high highs and low lows, and you're just like, wah.
Everything's manic and on fire.
Yeah. And then I had another guy who was in my speech and debate class that I had a huge crush on. And he and my neighbor would just pass back and forth this one girl who we all like knew was mean. Like we were like, but she's mean. And we would talk openly about how mean she is. And then I'd go to school dances on my own, and he and her would go together, and then she would eventually get mad at him and not talk to him for the rest of the dance. So then he'd just like somber over and be like, well, I guess I'm hanging out with Natalie. Natalie, you want to dance?
Dang.
So I was that chick in high school. I didn't date because I was just waiting.
Oh, I didn't, yeah.
I didn't date in high school because I was just waiting for all of these guys to, as Colby Collette, my first goddess, would tell you, would realize.
Colby Collette, she sings our stories
She
from
sings
her
them.
art. She sings them.
She sings them. Every once in a while, that song will pop up on my iPod because I still keep my original iPod that could like shuffle through my entire childhood. And that song will pop up and I'll be like, oh God, if you could just realize.
How did you know, Colby?
Just
How did you know?
And like, I think she also did that like, that starts in my toes, makes me wrinkle my nose. And I was like, that's how I feel about these men. These boys. These boys who are never going to date me.
Oh.
Or like give me the emotional support that I need.
I feel this so hard right now.
I know. I mean, like,
Dang.
how did crushes go for you?
Oh God, not like that. I've never been. So take your situation and like the exact, like pretty much the exact opposite. So I wasn't super into like boys. Like I wasn't like interested in it growing up. I would say until probably like late high school, and then after I graduated high school is when I really started. But my first crush that I can remember was in 6th grade. And we're going to call this guy Roger.
That's right, because we're not using names.
Yeah, that's worth noting that none of these names we mention are the real names, so...
Because I don't want them to at me and now think that they have a chance with me.
Exactly. Please stay out of my life.
And and most importantly, my DMs.
We don't want you coming back, okay? Stay out of our lives and our DMs. All right, so Roger.
Yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, if you're like a new person, yeah, we can talk. It's fine. It's fine.
But I'm
probably never going to talk to Roger again.
But I want your therapist as a reference.
Oh, for sure. For sure. She or he or that person, that therapist did some work. All right. So Roger, 6th grade. Roger. I didn't know how to act. Like, I don't even know if, like, back then, if I knew I had a crush, really. Like, I just knew that I liked this boy, that I vibed with this boy. He was so cool. He was, like, the boy in class that, like didn't talk much, was kind of just, like, too cool for school, basically. And he was into Rammstein. Like, he, and I thought that was just the coolest thing in the world. Like, he liked an international band. Like, ooh, the Rammstein boys who were, like, slightly, like, metal, but not super metal, you know?
He's in 6th grade, and he's so hardcore.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I thought as 6th grade Dina. And he, like, I've always been a gamer. Like, I grew up a gamer, like, since I was little. So, like, he was into, like, strategy games. Oh. Like, he was like an Age of Empires type, like, gotta use that big brain energy type guy. Yeah. So I was just like, ooh, look at this big brain energy guy. Like, and so that was like, at that point, I didn't know how to express my feelings or even express through actions like that I liked this guy. So I would just, like, talk to him and hang out with him because, I liked games, so we had things in common. There were reasons for him to talk to me. But this is what happened with Roger. There was this cool girl, like, cool, pretty, popular girl named Amanda. And as soon as, like, I think she noticed that I was giving Roger, like that I was hanging out with him and, like, I could potentially like him.
She swooped.
Miss Amanda, she swooped in with her blonde hair and her bubbly energy.
Her blowout.
And she started giving... Yes! She started giving him, attention from this, like, the bubbly girls that just, like, naturally flirt with everybody. Nothing wrong with those girls, but, like, at that time, complete opposite of who I am as a person. She just came in and kind of yoinked him and stole him, and they started dating. And then I was just like, I don't know what to do now. Guess I'm done with Roger. I think eventually, like, before we graduated and I ended up moving away, I think I wrote, like, a note or something, or, like, wrote him a letter, and then, like, nothing became of it.
You wrote him a letter?
I think I just wrote him, like, a letter, because that's, like, I don't know if you guys did that. You would write, like, notes and stuff instead of, like, we weren't, like, writing, like, emails and stuff. We were just writing notes. So I wrote him a note, and then that was pretty much it with Roger. I think, like, back when I was in college, I think I found him on Facebook or something, and I was like, ooh, let me, like, send him a friend request. Nah, he was like, don't want nothing to do with that.
That's how my sister got married. Like,
are you serious?
Yeah, so her and my brother-in-law were, like, classmates. I wouldn't even qualify them as friends, but they, like, had the same English class together and, like, sat together. And Emily always had a crush on my brother-in-law, Zach. I guess I can use their real names. And he, and she would, like, hint really hard that she wanted him to take her to their senior prom. And, like, he was just oblivious. And then through the power of the internet and Facebook, they became friends and then started dating, and now they're married people in college. Like, that all happened in college.
So what you're saying is that me and Roger, we missed our chance, right. Basically,
like,
dang, Roger.
You need to slip into his DMs and be like, no, this could really work.
For real, you know what? I think he might be married now or something. I knew he was, like, in a relationship or something, so it definitely wasn't going to happen. But we could have had a chance, man. We could have. We were both gamers. There were reasons for us to be together.
At least the two of you had, like, a baseline of what you had in common to talk about. I would just, like, pretend that I had things in common with these men. Like,
Oh, okay.
For the one that I eventually hooked up with after college, like, I was like, I love Dane Cook, and I would just, like, memorize all of Dane Cook's comedy. And, like,
oh my god,
saw Dane Cook live in college to brag to this man about it. Like,
dang, you were like adopt the whole personality of the guy you like, girl.
Yes. And then, like, for the one who was in speech and debate with me, where we became, like, friends, I, like, joined his improv troupe. Like,
oh my god, girl.
He was my mentor in speech and
god. Debate. You went hard, though. You put in the work. You were trying.
Put in the work. Put in the work. And I was like, dang. Yes. I was like, I'm just going to always be here so you can't not see me.
They can't turn you down if you're always there. It'll just naturally turn into, like, you being there for the rest of your life.
I'm always here.
Oh my god.
I'm always here.
Stage 50 clinger right there. I love that.
Oh, thank you. It clearly worked out. 32 years old. Still no ring on this. I don't even allow men in my home anymore. Every time a male energy enters our home, Penelope, my cat, is like, ew. Like, that's not.
What is this? Ugh.
Mom.
It tastes like Old Spice and masculinity.
Right. It tastes like Old Spice and masculinity.
Get that energy out of here.
Remember being
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Remember being a young woman and having to pretend that Axe body spray smelled sexy? while you're like
Oh
choking.
no.
You're choking and your eyes are watering and you're like, you smell so good.
I hated that phase. I was like, I don't understand. The only good thing about the Axe commercial, or no, it wasn't even Axe. The Old Spice commercials.
Yes.
Oh, those were so good.
That man's beautiful.
All right, so I had one other known crush that I can like remember, and that is, we're gonna call this guy Chad. So this guy, Chad. If you haven't caught on, I'm basically just taking the first letter and like changing the name to a different. So this guy's name started with a C, and I changed it to
if you're
Chad.
a man in Dina's past and you're trying to decode whether or not we're talking about you, here it is.
Yeah, man. Hit me up if you want me to use your real name. If you want me to use your real name, I'll be happy to. But I haven't talked to Chad in a very long time. So, Chad, this was like freshman year, I would say, and it kind of continued throughout high school. But I think I kind of lost interest when I realized girl ain't happening. But he was like this blonde gamer upperclassman. So like, here's my thing. It's like I was pretty much attracted to people who had similar interests to me. So like almost all the people I've dated have been gamers. But he was the first person that I was like, physically, I remember being attracted to him. I was like, ooh, he had like this blonde, like, I mean, it looked like Justin Bieber hair, basically. Like, it was so cute. And he talked with a lisp, which I thought was the cutest thing in the world. I was like, I would just swoon, basically. Internally, not visibly, because I don't know how to actually swoon.
Conceal, don't feel.
Right. And so he had these like broad shoulders, and I was like, ooh, he kind of built like a dwarf. You know, like how dwarves, like in Lord of the Rings, are like they got them thick shoulders. That's what he was like. And I was like, ooh, I kind of like them big manly shoulders. I remember thinking that.
Your type is Gimli from Lord of the Rings.
I guess at that time, yeah, I was like mad hyped for people that look like Gimli.
Who's the actual hot dwarf from the Hobbit series? That like lead dwarf.
Oh, well, I always like Philly and Killy. They're like the young dwarves. They're like the...
But I don't like pretty boys. Like, I literally like that lead dwarf
who
looks like he's murdered an entire village.
Exactly. So his shoulders gave me like those vibes, and I was like, feeling this, you know. I never approached him about how I felt or anything. I just like joined there was like a new video game club, so I joined the video game club just to like, he was like the leader, I think, of that club. He led it, and so I would just like go and play. I think we played like Super Smash Brothers. I would just go just to hang out with him because I didn't know actually how to tell anyone how I like feel.
Mashing buttons furiously in your sexual tension.
Yeah, like I'm like mashing buttons but secretly like staring at him like, oh my god. He was cute.
Telepathically tell him, I wish I was mashing your buttons.
Exactly, like, ooh, yes. And I think similar to you, it was just like, well, if I hang around him, maybe he'll notice me, kind of a thing. But I definitely, like, at that point in my life, wasn't like making moves. Like, I didn't think I was pretty. I didn't think there was any reason for him to like want me or to be in a relationship with me. And so I just kind of hung around.
Yeah.
And he was really cute. So he always had a girlfriend or like was interested in someone. And he was always talking to the girls that were like naturally pretty and just like, you know, you see pretty girls and that's who he was talking with. So in my mind, there was like, it's probably never going to happen. So
I definitely still carry over like ugly girl in high school vibes where I'm like, you guys don't understand the very minimal glow up that I've gone through. Like, it is a glow up. It's minimal, but I do like carry that like ugly girl in high school attitude. Like
yeah, it just felt like it would never happen
No.
for us, you know?
No.
Like no one would ever be interested.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It didn't matter how funny I was or if I was literally always there. Like, I was the epitome of that meme of, like, it's like your funny girl best friend and he looking over his shoulder at, like, but the hot popular chick he don't really have a chance with. Like,
You know, here's the joke's on them though, because we got mad personality now.
right. We're so
Because we didn't care, like
interesting.
we weren't getting with boys, so we were like, "Hey, we're funny. Look at us."
Hey, we're funny.
Silently crying alone in our beds.
We're
like,
moderately successful in life.
oh my god, that's hilarious.
Joke's on you, we learned how to compensate sexually by doing the stuff other chicks won't do. Like,
Dang. How far we've come though from where those crushes were.
oh yeah. Like, I mean, like you talked about how one of your things was to just like join their activity. I would also like buy gifts because the whole thing was like they were my friends, so it wasn't weird to give them presents. So I'd be like, I saw this and I thought of you. So like I remember like I went to like free comic book day or something and they were handing out like Daredevil figurines and I was like, his favorite superhero is Daredevil. And he was like, why do I have this? And I'm like, because one day you'll give it to our children. Duh.
One day it will be the memento that you pass on to our freaking children. Get it together.
And now I have to like rethink every present I want to give someone. It's like, am I a weirdo or is this a nice thing to be doing?
Oh my gosh.
So like,
Dang, you went all out. Like with the
Dina.
presents and like changing your whole personality. I'm like, dang, these are some notes I could have known.
I just truly needed to be loved and desired. I still have like that desired kick though. If you even look at me twice like you might desire me, I'm all in for it. I'm like, excuse me, what? Did you happen to think that I'm pretty? Yeah. I did spend 25 minutes on my eyeshadow palette and you only saw the purple in it. There are 7 other colors, but thank you for noticing the purple.
Let's have children.
Right. So
And get married.
Like that. So
and live
this
together forever.
so this is love song from Cinderella just starts playing in my head.
I feel like this is like a Taylor Swift song.
Right.
She's written this song before.
Yeah. Or it's just sitting in her notebook and it's called So Sorry I'm Damaged. Like, am I living the plot to blank space? Like,
I think you might be, dude. Now that I'm listening to your stories, I'm like, oh my god.
Taylor Swift, can you at me and tell me if you actually wrote blank space for me about me?
Dude, you should really ask her that. You should really go on Twitter and make that happen.
I think a lot of what plays into how brave we feel in our crushes or like what we believe love and dating was supposed to be when we were children growing up comes from our families. So did your family ever like talk to you about like, this is what it means to like a boy?
No. Short answer, no. And I think that's part of the reason why I didn't know how to like express it. So like no one knew that I had crushes on people other than me because the whole thing with my family was like we never talked about it. It was like there was just, you know, they're so conservative. And you'll hear me talk about this because it lingers still, the Arab guilt. Like, Arab guilt is that we knew we weren't supposed to think about or do any of those things. We're not supposed to date. We're not supposed to have those feelings. We're not supposed to, like, anything. And so that, like, Arab guilt always hung over me. So I just, like, my family just pretended that those things didn't exist. Like, we didn't talk about them, so they don't exist. Like, sex doesn't exist. Like, you, like, liking someone doesn't exist. And if you do it, you're going to hell. So I repressed all of that. Just inside repression.
Well, as you know, I grew up loosely Catholic. As in, we sometimes went for Christmas and maybe for Easter if we woke up in time. But I am the eldest child of a hot mom. Like, my mom was hot in high school. She continues to be hot now, to my chagrin. And so I think my mom just never thought she had to talk to me about it because it was just easy for her. She'd be like, I just don't understand why my troll child with the Lion King perm isn't dating.
Oh my God, that's a lot of pressure.
And I think because, like, we always had guys in and out of our house. Like, because we lived in a neighborhood with a lot of kids and we all just hung out together. And I hung out with a lot of guys. Maybe she assumed I was secretly dating all of them. And I'm like, no, Mom, I need guidance. Can you teach me how to, like, put my hair in an updo? Like, you got me contacts too late in life.
Oh my God. I need your skills, Mom. Dang, she wasn't giving you anything.
No. And then from my dad, it was just like, he would make sure to, like, dog any guy I was interested in. I remember when one of those high school crushes, like, we took a break because I was actually dating someone in college. And when that relationship ended and my dad came home and this guy from high school's on my couch, like, and we're taking a nap, and he's like, oh, this guy's back. That's great. So happy to see you. Because my dad, like your family, was just like, my daughters can't be sexual beings. My dad can't even say the word nipple. Like, he has 2 nipples as well. But to acknowledge that nipples exist would acknowledge that you are a sexual being.
Do you think he acknowledges his own nipples? You imagine your dad just in the mirror, like, too shy to look at his nipples, like, no, they're not there. It's too sexual.
No.
Yeah. Oh my God. So, and it was like, for me, it was just, you could not hang out with boys, which was really hard because I was a tomboy growing up. Like, I played sports. I liked things like video games that were predominantly, male activities.
Right.
Not saying, there are plenty of women who play video games. Like, we all know this now, but back then it was like guy dominated activity. So I related to guys more than I did to girls growing up, and so I just naturally got along with them well. But if I wanted to go stay at a friend's house, like, overnight, have like a sleepover, and my mom would be like, who's gonna be there, like, who's gonna be at that house? And if like my friend, my female friend, if she had like a brother or something, I couldn't go. It was like, no, you just cannot be around the other sex because clearly you're going to Bone Town. That's what's happening.
Honestly, I think my mom was almost, she'd never admit it out loud, but she was probably disappointed I didn't go to Bone Town more as like a young woman because, like, again, for her being a hot lady, she's like, why aren't like men fawning over my jeans some more? And like,
God.
but yeah, I think, and like, playing off of the, like, your parents weren't even, like, comfortable having you hang out with boys. Like, I think we as a society have such a weird view of children of the opposite sex being friends. Number one, it's completely heteronormative that, like, if boy one and girl one hang out, then we talk to, like, they're 5 years old and we're like, oh, little Johnny, he has, like, a little girlfriend named Claire in preschool. And you're like, what? Oh yeah, they're in love. What does that mean? Why are we sexualizing 5-year-olds? They're playing Legos.
That's really weird.
It's weird.
I don't get that. That's kind of probably the root of all dating problems. Go back to that.
I know.
Like being sexualizing or pretending like that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
That's where all the problems come from.
Right. It's like we're never in the happy medium. It's either like boys and girls never look at one another because that's wrong and it's sin, or it's like, oh, you're 3 years old and here's your little girlfriend and you and your little girl. Like, no 6-year-old has a girlfriend. When I began straight ew. When I began teaching and I would do drama club for the middle school and they'd be like, so and so's dating, and I'd go, that's dumb. And they'd look at me and I'd be like, well, number one, no one has a car, so where are you going? And no one has a job, so how are you doing things? Like, you just sit in English class looking at one another. We've all done that. It's not a relationship. Dates, like, you need money and a car to be dating.
It's true.
True, though. Like,
True.
but yeah, like, I just feel like, and now your brain goes into autopilot. Like, as soon as and I do believe that the best relationships start out as friendships because you already know what you like about one another and you've already accepted what you don't like about one another. But, like, this whole thing, if, like, I spend 15 minutes one-on-one with a guy, I should want to date him, feels so old to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's just...
Looking back on it, it doesn't make sense now. Yeah.
No, it doesn't. And it's like, how do we move past this idea of, like, the opposite sexes can't spend time together without there being a sexual component?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll ever, like, it's gonna be a really long time, I think, before that idea goes away.
Yeah. And, like, how are we talking about to our children about, like, what relationships look like? You shouldn't just be in a relationship with someone because it's, like, close proximity. That's how I chose potential mates. I was like, oh, are they within an arm's length? They're the one.
I'll take that one. That one's it. That's it right there. He's 2 feet from me.
The one that sits next to me in class.
Oh my god.
The one that I am forced to see every day. I'd like that one, please. And, like, I also would get, like, a superiority complex because I was such good friends with the guys that when these other women came in and got to date them, I'd be like, you don't know them like I do. I've been here forever. And he enjoyed...
That's where the competition
I know. And
comes into play.
And, like, the years of unraveling that, where it's like, my entire life isn't an episode of The Bachelorette. I don't have to hand out roses. I don't have to compete for a rose. Also, I've been watching that series for, like, 16 years, so maybe that's where it all went wrong.
Honestly. Well, and I think this is such a big topic. We could talk for hours about how women are brought up, women are brought up throughout life to feel like every other woman is in competition, which is so toxic. And I think every woman, but, you know, I'll just say, I'll speak for myself, that I went through a phase where, yeah, I did that. I was
yeah.
jealous of, you know, if another girl came into my space and was like, you know, getting all the attention. I was like, what about me? I was here first. And then, but then at some point you realize how toxic that is, that you can be genuine friends with a woman or another girl and just not have it be competition all the time. Like, you can want success for a friend or another woman, and that's the transition I went through. Did you go through something similar?
Honestly, like, this most recent batch of new friends, where all of these guys are either already partnered up or younger than me or whatever, is the first time where, like, my brain hasn't gone in overdrive, where it's like, if I was going to end up with one of them, which one is it? And who do I have to, like, beat out to do that? And, like, when we did the little dating web series, it could have become really toxic and competitive. But as women, we got into the women's breakout room and we just talked about, like, who we liked and who we didn't like. And, like, there was no, like, well, I'm staking my claim, or, like, how dare you like him, like, duke him out. Like, no one was shady during the show. So
that's good, yeah.
So it was a good chemistry and it was a good growth moment. But, I mean, it's taken me this far to, like, look at the men in my life and not wanted, like, to be secure in my own life and what I've got going on, to be like, well, I don't actually need to be searching for a partner in every man that the universe brings my way.
Right. And I think in my mid to now late 20s is when I realized, like, all that. I was like, I'm not gonna wish ill on another woman. I'm not gonna be in competition with every woman. If there's a guy in the room, like, I'm not doing that, because I want to bring women up and not tear them down.
Yeah.
And I think that's important for our gender, as, you know, just as a whole. That is so important. And, you know, it reminds me of when that time, so you and I both use dating apps, and so remember that guy that I met on Tinder, that this guy had been hanging out with him, and yes, had become intimate. And one day I met up with him and he was like, hey, I gotta tell you something. I was like, what? Oh no, like, here we go. He's gonna drop some weird bomb on me. Like, I don't know. I'm not ready for this. But he was like, I noticed that we have, that you're friends with Natalie, who, like, on Facebook, you know, obviously you and I are friends. And he was like, I just want you to know that I, like, talked to her on the dating app, like, before you, but, like, nothing ended up coming from it. And I was like, oh no. I was like, oh crap. No, I was like, first I was laughing because I was like, oh my god, how hilarious is that me and Natalie have talked to the same guy on Tinder. Like, how that's hilarious. And I was like, I was a little nervous because I'd never been in this situation before. I was like, oh my god, like, I gotta talk to Natalie about this. Like, I hope she's not mad at me, because at this point I've been, you know, having sex with this guy, like, and so I was like, all right, but I gotta, like, just make sure, you know, everything's cool with me and Natalie, because obviously my relationship with you comes, you know, and my friends in general, comes before some random dude on Tinder or whatever. But I texted you, I remember texting you, and I was like, so this just happened. And you were like, it was hilarious. Yeah. Like, obviously you were, like, cool with it and everything was fine, but that was such a big moment for, I feel like, for us, like, to just feel like we are adults, we could talk about this like adults, and everything's cool, like, and it was fine. The guy ended up being a piece of crap, so he was fine.
But like, I also remember being all like, good on him for, I guess, for seeing this as being a problem and trying to curb it now. To me, we had, like, exchanged messages for an evening. We had a lot in common. I tried to reach back out to him. He, like, message ghosted me. And then, like, I had moved on because, like, these men on dating apps aren't real to me until, like, we've met up for, like, 3 or more times. Like, They're just like,
no, that makes sense.
they're just like not real humans. So for you to like be like, I don't know, we matched with this guy and like he talked to you too, and I'm cracking up because I was like,
Yeah, I was laughing my ass off.
I'm like, he's not even a person. He's not. I don't even know who he is, and then like. Also, like, for him to be like, I'm going to be the person who brings this friendship crashing down. Like, okay, dude. Like, pump your brakes.
Yeah, that guy wasn't shit to me.
Right.
Probably when I was sleeping with him, I feel kind of bad, but...
Dayton is so small that, like, how many guys do you think we've matched with just because we have similar types and similar hobbies? That, like... It's going to happen.
Oh, for sure. And like honestly, if it had gone like if you were like, "Oh, that's weird," like or whatever, I just would have been like, "All right, cool. I'm done. Like I'm done with it. I don't care." Like it doesn't mean enough to me, especially maybe that's important to talk about sometime where we're at in our relationship, like what we're looking for kind of a thing.
Oh yeah, like
but I personally I don't want a relationship right now. I only want casual like relationships with people I'm attracted to. So that wasn't it didn't mean anything to me, you know what I mean? If I had to get rid of that guy, I would have been fine, which ended up doing that anyway, so it's fine.
So there it is.
There it is.
All right, we are at about 52 minutes. So are you ready for big takeaways and manifestations?
I'm ready. Let's do it. You can start first.
Okay. I think my biggest takeaway that we are supposed to garnish from these crushes that we have peppered out throughout our adolescence is just because you want something so badly that it feels like the end of the world that you don't get it doesn't make it right. And like crushes kind of teach us how to deal with disappointment about relationships, because looking back at all of the men that I've had crushes on, like there are reasons it would have worked and there are reasons that it wouldn't have worked, so everything kind of equals out. But to all of my crushes out there, if you happen to piece together the clues and you're like, damn it, missed my chance with Natalie, I hope that all of you have entered your adult lives fully prepared for healthy adult relationships and have learned to communicate your true feelings to someone.
That's lovely.
Thank
Love
you.
that for everybody, honestly.
Thank you.
For my crushes, I think they taught me that it's okay to like someone despite what others will think about it. So whether it be your family or your friends, it's fine to have feelings for someone, and for you to really just be for you to just be confident in what you feel and let it happen. Don't be ashamed. Don't feel like it's wrong. Your feelings aren't wrong. And I haven't talked to these guys in forever. So, but I hope that they're out there, like you said, living their best adult lives, and they've find or have found someone that they truly are able to express their feelings with and their love with. So
I'm going to do some plugs. So if you've made it this far with us, welcome to our inner circle. We hope that you had some laughs and that you took away some reflections for your own. Please follow us on Instagram. I'm going to make the Instagram handle for the podcast Men I've Tolerated Pod, because to all the men I've tolerated before just seems really long.
that is super long.
You can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is not set to private right now, and it is my first name, Natalie, and my last initial, K, as in kite or kitten, 124. I'm going to be posting some questions about each episode that we would love to hear from you, because we definitely want this to be a platform where women and men are coming together to talk about relationships and what we've learned, what we've had to unlearn, and we want this to be a community of sharers.
As for me, I when you're hearing this, my Instagram will be live. It is Miss Caboose, so MS period Caboose, Caboose. Caboose is my online handle. For those of you who are like, it's not about my ass, I promise. It's my online handle. So you can follow me on Instagram. I also will have links to my Twitch and my other social media. So feel free to follow me on Twitch. I stream games sometimes. So but thank you, Natalie, for allowing me to do this with you. I'm so excited and hopeful that somebody will relate to this and find some positive solutions to some of their problems, maybe.
And please, word of mouth is the love language of podcasting. So if you like what we have to say, tell 2 to 3 of your girlfriends, like, hey, I've listened to this podcast. It's so relevant, and I went through so many of the same things. Give it a listen. Subscribe to the podcast. We're going to put out an episode weekly. And leave us a 5-star review and some comments on why you found us so entertaining and worth a listen. We'd love to hear it. We thrive on compliments.
Yes. Also, please don't be mean to me. I can't handle.
Also, we understand that trolls are people too, but we'd rather not. Good vibes only.
Good vibes only, for sure.
All right. This is Natalie Katona signing off.
And Dina Alcati. We'll talk to you guys later.
Everyone stay safe and lovely out there.